Hi everyone, I'm back for the next part of the dressmaking form. When we left off, we had just finished wrapping the dress form in the duct tape, and we're going to go on from there. You're going to need, I use the press and seal because it adheres to the dress form, so get you a sheet of it and put it with the sticky side up. Put your dress form on it. I usually sort of center it, and then you're just going to go around it till you've got it, completely molded on there. Sort of pull it tight and adhere it. You're adhering it in the center area. And then what I do up here is I just pinch it and start twisting it tight. I cut off the excess, and then where I've got the top of the corset, I want to try to make sure that I've got that down in there. Tape it down in there so that you still see the rounded part. Do the same thing for the bottom. Push it in a little bit and down. Go around and try to make sure that you've got it adhered real well. And now this dress form is ready for use. You will then need some Vaseline, and I use a scruffy brush, and I set it aside just for the Vaseline. Once it's in there, it's in there. You want to dab it. You don't want to overdo it too much, but you want it completely covered. And make sure you get in those creases where you always get some creases from the saran wrap. And don't worry about getting it on your hands, because that's a good thing for the next step. Then I just make sure everything's got a nice thin coating. I take the rest of the Vaseline and I rub it into my hands. It will help when trying to get the glue off from the next step. Next step is, I had an old book, a very old book, and it was starting to smell and everything. But once you get it through this process, there's no smell. I tore it up into different pieces, and this is what I use for my paper mache. Don't throw out your single edges, because you will need them to go around the top. I also use the matte gel medium matte. This is Liquitex. I know there's others out there, but I really like this one. And I mix it with water until you get about that consistency. Can you see that? It's like pudding. That's the consistency you want for this next step. I'm just putting wax paper down because it's hard to get, the glue is hard to get off of this. The first thing I'm going to do is get some of these single edge strips coated on one side. This part is messy, but the end results are always nice. I always start at the top edges and I go around, and if it doesn't seem to be, you have to be real careful with your first one to try to get it to adhere. And then I just pull it off as I need to so that I can follow that line of the corset that I've got. If it seems still dry, just go over it some more. Hopefully you can see this. But I do all the edges first. It'd help if I had the glue side down. If you go over a little bit on the bottom, it really doesn't make any difference, because at the end when you take it off the mold, you can cut it to the way you want it. If it seems dry, you need to just get some more of your paste and glue it on there. Then I just go ahead and pour some glue over it. This is just the way I do it. I mean, there's probably better ways and non-messy ways, but and then you just start to cover the whole thing. Now, an easy way of remembering how many layers you've done, because I usually put 4 to 5 layers of papers on here. These particular papers of this book is rather thin, so that's why I have to use so many. If your paper seems to be a little bit thicker, you may not need as many, but you want the glue to saturate through so that it could start molding, and you want to cover all this. So anyway, my first round after getting all my edges, is I have all the words going up and down, and I'll do that all the way around. For my second round, I will then place the wording upside down, and I know that's my second layer. Then my third layer, they're right side up, and you continue that on until your piece is as thick, looks thick like this. That's about 4 or 5 layers. And then you'll put this aside, and I've got to wipe some of this off. You'll put it aside. What I've done, because I hang mine, I just take a skewer stick and stick it down in the center of it. And I stuck it right in there. And I can take it out after it's fairly dry. After a day, check it out to see how dry it is. You'll want to cut up the center. Pull it completely off your dress form. And this one has been drying for quite a while. Then I dry it out. I take a paper towel to the inside to wipe a little bit of the, especially if I got too much of the Vaseline, I get a little bit of that off. And then I put it back on and close it up, and I leave that to hang until it's completely dry, which this one is. And you take this off, and now you got a dress form piece to work with. I look at my edges, and this one's not too bad. It's got a few bumps and bobbles here, so what I do is just go along and trim off what I don't want on there. Straighten it up. Like it's turning under a little bit here. Now if you want it a little bit ragged, then, leave it that way. I'm not too concerned down here because that's usually covered. At this point, I would mark my lacing holes, and I cheat. I use the Dremel, and I'll go through and drill every place that I need for the lacings. Then it's just ready for the painting part, and we'll do that the next time because I don't want to have trouble with the mic this time. So I'm going to leave you at this because this takes 2 to 3 days to get to this point. So any questions, don't forget to type them out and give me a shout out. See y'all later.